What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. I cover political news. Now, the other day we covered RFK Jr. dropping out. One of my videos hit, it went kind of viral a little bit. It got quite a lot of views, and I got quite a lot of comments saying, oh, this is clickbait, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no. I read the news, y'all. I know what's going on. I can see this coming from a mile away, but let's talk about the media response to this, because these people are insane, y'all. CNN outright cut their feed as soon as RFK Jr. started exposing the truth. The conspiracy theorist, oh no, this is misinformation. We gotta cut it off.
At the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election. They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020 without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days.
We've been listening to independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from Phoenix outlining what led him to his quixotic quest for the White House to now dropping out and relinquishing the title of Democrat. He had a series of...
Now, you could tell by the end of that clip that, yeah, the producers were in the air like, cut the feed, start talking, because he's like, his quixotic, and then he says this, relinquish his title of Democrat. No, he hasn't done that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, as we've covered on the channel, I don't know how many stories it's been. I've at least covered 5 lawsuits that the Democrat Party has brought against RFK Jr. The first one was while he was still running as a Democrat. They forced him off the ballot. We all know this. And then after that, they were so worried about this guy, they went 4 more lawsuits that I know of that I covered on this channel. Now, we know there is a bunch more, just smaller lawsuits to keep him off the ballot in pretty much every state that he's on, right? Which is, it's just crazy, like the Democrat Party, and that's not the only person, y'all. You know, the longtime viewers of this channel have seen all the stories that I've covered of Democrats, the DNC, going after all these other small candidates that have absolutely no chance of winning. They're suing Jill Stein to keep her off the ballot. They sued Dean Phillips to keep him off the ballot. They sued Cornel West to keep him off the ballot. Cenk Uygur got sued. Of course, the Cenk Uygur being sued, that's an understandable one because he's not a natural-born citizen. He's a naturalized citizen. But his argument, I really think that needs to go to the Supreme Court, because we may need to make some changes to the Constitution, y'all. Yeah, Cenk Uygur makes a very good point. Y'all know my disdain for some of Cenk Uygur's arguments, the way he debates and all this blah, 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 blah. But I agree with him on this because he makes a lot of sense, right? They're essentially being treated as second-class citizens because they can't run for president. That puts them in a lower class. He's absolutely right about that. That you can't argue against it, right? Now, I understand why the framers created the Constitution and put that in there. They didn't want some outside person coming in from another country, essentially an invasion from within. So, I get that, but the country has evolved. The country has evolved a lot. There's a lot of outdated amendments in the Constitution that probably should be updated, right? We do this constantly, y'all, right? There's legislation going on all the time to amend the Constitution. Maybe we need to look into this. Maybe they should take it to the Supreme Court. I think they should, but we're here today. We're talking about the media response. So CNN cuts him off. We can't have that, y'all. We can't have RFK Jr. telling the truth on TV. That's right. Well, let's go ahead and hear exactly what RFK Jr. had to say.
But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs. Over the course of more than a year, in a campaign where my poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s, the DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears. Some of those same networks and colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage. Representatives of those networks are in this room right now, and I'll just take a moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility, the duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear or skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power. You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press, and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot. But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs.
Yes, folks, they can't have their viewers hearing the truth. That would absolutely crumble their narrative, their disinformation campaign on the American people, their attack on democracy. Yes, we know this. The people that read the news, people that cover the news, people that pay attention know this already, right? Like, I'm sure you guys know this already, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but I am saying it for some of those people that may come along and may not know the truth and may not know that the corporate press is lying to them. The mainstream narrative machine is fully functioning and is running at optimal efficiency right now. Right? So they had to cut that off. They had to cut RFK off. He is exposing the truth on a wide scale, and this is great. This is really great. These people should not be a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. They should, like RFK said, always challenge the party in power. Always go to these people. Hold the people accountable. That is what journalism is supposed to be. That is what the mainstream news is supposed to do. But instead, you have to have people like me that are constantly seeing the mainstream narrative, right? And we finally learn the truth and start looking into this and say, uh-oh, there's a problem here, y'all. We've got to fix this. So it's up to smaller people to go out on their own. Thank God for YouTube and Rumble and all these places like this to let us speak our voice, to let us get out there and get to to witness to people, to let them know these people are lying. These people don't like you whatsoever. The DNC doesn't like democracy, y'all. Like he said, Joe Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 80% landslide or whatever the hell it was, talking about he kept people off the ballot, killed one of them, as a matter of fact. Guess what? Look at our country. Look at what they're doing. I've covered those stories. I just talked about all that. All of the damn lawsuits keeping people off the ballot, choosing Kamala Harris without a primary. That's insane. That's never been done before in this country. And it was blatant, y'all. And people are cheering for it. That's what I don't get. People are like, yeah, go Kamala. Because of Donald Trump. Right? And their whole worldview around Donald Trump is based upon lies. Lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Check this out.
Maya, what impact is this going to have on the 2024 race?
Very, very little, except it does give the Harris campaign a lot of opportunity for a lot more attack ads. Having sat in a House congressional hearing with Kennedy Jr. on vaccines and on the conspiracy theories that he spread around those, I can tell you that I think you can expect the word weird to continue to circulate from the mouths of the campaign and its supporters when it comes to being able to take on any kind of sense that this is something that might change the dynamics of this race. I mean, and we know from polling that about, frankly, Kennedy supporters were not very strong supporters. They were not deeply committed to him, and that both Harris and Trump really kind of divided up his constituents. So I don't think this will have much impact at all, except in attack ads.
Jennifer, speaking of polls, so this is an average of national polls. I'm going to put this up here on the screen. You can see there.
So the propaganda is out there, and I'm going to keep that little graph up here right quick because look at that. Okay, so RFK Jr. is polling at about 5%, and they say this is not going to have any effect on the election. Huh? What the hell are you talking about? We covered some polls the other day talking about that. If RFK Jr. drops out and endorses Trump, he's going to pull 70 to 80% of that 5% right there. So what is that? 4%? So you're telling me that a 4% shift isn't going to have any effect whatsoever. Well, what do we see right here at the bottom? Yeah, 46% to 43.3%. So let's add 4% to that. That would be 47.3%. So what do you mean it's not going to have any effect except for fuel for the Harris campaign? This is the propaganda that they're trying to give to you, folks. This is the corporate press, the mainstream narrative machine, lying to your face. Look, this is how stupid that they think we are. They're even giving you the statistics. The statistics are right here. All you have to do is combine these two numbers and just look at it, right? Look, there's the numbers. We just did it in our head. What do you mean it's not going to have any effect? But the blatant hypocrisy continues, y'all. It continues on. These people, they have to propagandize all of the MSNBC viewers. Check this out.
But much more seriously, he's a nut. He is a conspiracy nut. He's a racist. He has come up with all of these cockamamie theories of persecution. In that sense, he's very much a Trump.
I think Trump wants to win, and anybody who could give him votes is somebody he's going to embrace. And RFK, I think, in addition to being weird, is also opportunistic. He contacted the Harris administration to see if there was a place for him in their administration. He's clearly hoping that he can get something if Trump wins.
All right, so I got to stop that right there. There's a little bit more to that we're going to cover, but I don't want to pass up this one point right here. She says that Kennedy's campaign contacted the Harris campaign. Well, the viewers of this channel know that's an outright lie. She is outright lying about that. RFK never contacted any of them. He put up a tweet that said he would be open to discussing with either side, talking about both sides, but never contacted the Harris campaign or the Biden campaign directly whatsoever. So she is outright lying. But the propaganda doesn't stop there. Of course it doesn't stop there. They've got to propagandize everybody.
He's off the ballot everywhere except, interestingly enough, Michigan and North Carolina. Those are swing states.
Once again, more lies. We just covered the other day. That's not true. He is coming off of the ballot in all of the swing states, but he's staying on the ballot in blue states as a matter of fact. So once again, just lies, lies, lies. And then, hey, here comes the smears because now we've propagandized everybody. So now we got to tie it up in a little bow and put a little cherry on top.
What message is it sending? What message is Trump trying to send by going to a place that had something so openly racist and vile happen on its streets?
So I actually don't think Trump is in Howell because he wants to send a signal to white supremacists that he's one of them. Although Trump is definitely racist, and that is a very passionate part of his base, I think he's in Howell, Michigan for very, very practical reasons. As I said before,
you gotta love these people. They just constantly, they can't get away from the racism, y'all. Like, the Democrat Party is the actual racists here. We know that. I mean, who started the KKK? Blah. DNC. Who filibustered the Civil Rights Act? The DNC, as a matter of fact. Yeah, we know all this. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Republicans fought to end slavery, for crying out loud. The Democrat Party is the party of racism. That hasn't changed, y'all. That hasn't changed whatsoever. And them just smearing Trump with this racism BS. Yeah, everybody that knows that Trump isn't a racist. That's just an attack line from the DNC, from the Democrat apparatchiks at the mainstream narrative machine. Sorry for slipping up there, y'all, but these people are crazy. They can't help themselves, and they look like absolute fools. Like, what are they really doing, right? Like, having somebody like me, who is just a nobody from nowhere, come out and calling these people out, seeing the blatant hypocrisy, seeing the blatant lies, seeing the propaganda that they're putting out, and having to call it out on a constant basis. It's not just a little bit, it's almost everything. They lie about almost everything. They've got to twist the narrative, they've got to turn the story, they've got to make you think the way they want you to think. That's what they're there for, folks. They're a propaganda arm for the Democrat Party. These people are insane, and they're weird. You love that, huh? They're weird, right? Constantly calling now they're calling RFK Jr. weird, which is weird. Just weird. That whole weird attack line is weird, if you ask me. Like, what are you really doing with that? But, whatever. But we've got to call these people out. We need to wake up some of these people, right? Some of the Democrat voters who just watch MSNBC, watch CNN, and watch all these places. Be like, well, Fox News is fake. Yeah, some of it is. As a matter of fact, they are part of the corporate press. Fox News is fake. So where are you going to get your news from? Unfortunately, you got to get it from people like me, which sucks, which is stupid, which is absolutely ridiculous that it's up to people like me to give you guys the truth, to point out the propaganda, to point out the manipulations, right? Because that's all this is. It's just nothing but manipulations to make the Republicans look evil and to make Democrats look good. When there was a vasectomy and abortion truck at the DNC. What does that tell you, y'all? That's insane. They were giving out free vasectomies to people. The DNC is outright telling you, we don't want you to have kids. They want you to transition and sterilize your kids. That's going to end up with less and less and less Democrats. So that's why I say, go ahead and let them do it. Whatever. I just find it funny that they are actually doing that, offering it up free to their base. That's insulting, if you ask me. Like, really, like, nobody brought that up. Nobody at the DNC was like, that's weird. See what I did there? But it's just insane what they're doing, y'all, and I'm just here to point it out. That's all. That's all I got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comment section. The media's response to RFK dropping out. Oh, it's a big nothing burger. Nothing's going to happen. Yeah, a 4% shift in an election is nothing. It's outright nothing. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.